thousands of years ago. Entire cities vanished beneath fire. Pompeii was buried in ash. Ancient villages in Java disappeared under rivers of lava. In Japan, earthquakes and volcanoes became part of everyday life. Even the ancient Maya built their world beside volcanic mountains. And yet, humanity always came back, again and again and again. Why? Why would ancient humans choose to live beside mountains that could kill them at any moment? Because volcanoes were never just destroyers, they were creators. The same eruptions that buried cities also created some of the richest soil on Earth. The same fire that killed thousands could feed millions. Volcanoes gave humans fertile land, fresh water, natural caves, minerals, protection. Even here in Vietnam, ancient people once lived inside volcanic caves beneath the lands of Dak Nong. For early humans, volcanoes were terrifying, but they were also opportunity. And throughout history, civilizations kept making the same dangerous choice: live far from volcanoes and survive poorly, or live beside fire and thrive. Tonight, we explore one of the strangest patterns in human history: why ancient humans across the world always followed volcanoes. For most of human history, volcanoes were not seen as mountains. They were seen as monsters. Without warning, the ground could begin to shake beneath entire civilizations. Animals would flee into forests. The sky would darken in the middle of the day, and then the mountain would explode. Not like fire from a camp, but like the earth itself had opened. Lava hotter than 1,000 degrees could swallow forests, villages, even entire cities. Volcanic ash filled the air like poison. People could suffocate without ever touching the fire. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius buried Pompeii so quickly that many victims were frozen in their final moments. Some were found hiding together inside homes. Others died while trying to escape through streets already covered in ash. And Pompeii was not the worst. In 1815, Mount Tambora in Indonesia erupted with such force that it changed the climate of the entire planet. The explosion was heard more than 2,000 kilometers away. Ash blocked sunlight across the world. Temperatures dropped, harvests failed, famine spread across continents. Some historians call it the eruption that changed the world. Even today, volcanoes remain one of the deadliest forces on Earth. Because unlike storms or floods, volcanoes can sleep for centuries, long enough for humans to forget the danger, long enough to build cities beside them, long enough to believe the mountain is harmless. And then, in a single night, everything disappears. That is what makes volcanoes so terrifying. Not just their power, but their silence. And yet, despite all this destruction, ancient humans kept returning. Because volcanoes hid a secret powerful enough to build civilizations. After an eruption, volcanic ash slowly breaks apart over time. Rain carries minerals deep into the soil. And eventually, the dead land becomes incredibly fertile. In many volcanic regions, crops grow faster, larger, and more reliably than almost anywhere else on Earth. To ancient farmers, this was priceless. A dangerous mountain could feed an entire civilization. That is why some of the most densely populated regions on Earth were built beside volcanoes, not despite the danger, but because of it. Volcanoes also created something else humanity desperately needed: water. Rainwater often collected beneath volcanic rock, forming underground rivers and natural springs. In dry regions, volcanic landscapes could become rare sources of life. And And then there were the caves. Lava tubes and volcanic caverns gave early humans natural shelter from storms, predators, and changing climates. Even in Vietnam's Dak Nong region, ancient people once lived inside volcanic caves created thousands of years earlier by rivers of lava. The same fire that once destroyed the land later protected human life. Volcanic regions also contained obsidian, basalt, minerals, and stone strong enough for tools, weapons, and construction. In many ways, volcanoes did not just threaten civilization. They helped create it. And slowly, ancient humans made a dangerous discovery. The closer they lived to destruction, the greater the rewards became. What makes this story truly strange is that it happened almost everywhere on Earth. Civilizations separated by oceans, languages, and thousands of years kept making the same decision. They chose to live beside volcanoes. In ancient Rome, wealthy towns rose around Mount Vesuvius. The volcanic soil was so fertile that vineyards and farms flourished across the region. People knew the mountain existed, but after centuries of silence, many believed it was harmless. Until the year 79 AD. When Vesuvius erupted, Pompeii disappeared beneath ash in less than 2 days. And yet, even after the disaster, humans eventually returned to the region again, because the land remained too valuable to abandon forever. Far across the ocean, the ancient Maya also built parts of their civilization near volcanic highlands in Central America. Volcanic soil helped support agriculture in difficult environments. Without fertile land, large cities and complex societies may never have survived there. In Indonesia, the island of Java became one of the most volcanic places on Earth. And today, it is also one of the most densely populated. More than 100 million people still live beside active volcanoes. Not because the danger disappeared, but because the land remains incredibly productive. And then there is Japan, a nation shaped by volcanoes, earthquakes, and fire for thousands of years. Entire generations grew up knowing disaster could come at any moment. Yet people stayed. They rebuilt, again and again. Across continents and centuries, humanity kept repeating the same pattern. Volcanoes destroyed civilizations, but they also made civilization possible, and hidden deep inside Vietnam. The same story may have unfolded once again. Today, when people think about volcanoes, they rarely think about Vietnam. But thousands of years ago, enormous volcanic eruptions helped shape parts of the Central Highlands. Rivers of lava once flowed across the lands of present-day Dak Nong. Over time, those eruptions created vast basalt plateaus, fertile red soil, underground lava tubes, and one of Southeast Asia's most extraordinary volcanic cave systems. What once looked like destruction slowly became a landscape filled with life. The red basalt soil of Thanh Nguyen would eventually become some of the most fertile land in Vietnam. Forests grew thick across ancient lava fields. Water collected beneath volcanic rock, and hidden underground, giant caves remained cool, dry, and protected. For prehistoric humans, this was incredibly valuable. Inside the volcanic caves of Krong No, archaeologists discovered traces of ancient human life dating back thousands of years. Stone tools, animal remains, signs of fire, evidence that early humans once survived beneath the shadows of ancient volcanoes. Just like humans in Java, just like civilizations near Vesuvius. Ancient people in Vietnam may also have understood a dangerous truth. Volcanic landscapes were risky, but they offered something priceless, the possibility of survival. And perhaps that is why humans kept returning here. Not because volcanoes were safe, but because, after the fire faded, life often became stronger than before. Perhaps the strangest part of this story is that humanity never truly learned to stay away. Even after entire cities vanished, even after generations witnessed fire, ash, and death, people always returned. Because survival has never been only about safety. For ancient humans, the safest lands were not always the best lands. Many safe regions were dry, poor, cold, difficult to farm. But volcanic regions were different. The soil was richer, water was easier to find, forests grew faster, food became more reliable, and so humanity faced a choice that would repeat throughout history: stay far from danger and struggle to survive, or live beside destruction and build something greater. Again and again, humans chose the second path. Even today, millions still live beside active volcanoes. Naples remains near Vesuvius. Tokyo stands within reach of volcanic disaster. Java continues to support one of the largest populations on Earth. Entire communities in Iceland still live among volcanic landscapes. Not because humans ignore danger, but because humans adapt to it. That may be one of the deepest truths in human history. Civilization often grows closest to disaster, because the places that threaten human life sometimes also offer the greatest chance for it to flourish. Volcanoes became symbols of this contradiction. They could destroy everything in a single day, but without them, many civilizations may never have existed at all. And perhaps that is why humanity never truly left volcanoes, because deep down, humans have always been willing to risk danger in exchange for a better future. In the end, volcanoes were never simply enemies of humanity. They were something far more complicated. They destroyed cities, but they also created fertile worlds. They buried civilizations beneath ash, but they gave birth to forests, rivers, and new life. The same fire that terrified ancient humans also protected them. Inside volcanic caves, people found shelter. On volcanic soil, they found food. Near volcanic mountains, entire societies learned how to survive. It is one of the strangest paradoxes in human history. Some of the most dangerous places on Earth became some of the most important places for human civilization. And perhaps that is why volcanoes appear again and again throughout our story. Not only in Italy, or Indonesia, or Japan, but also here in Vietnam. Because volcanoes reveal something deeper about humanity itself. Humans do not simply run from danger. Humans learn from it, adapt to it, and sometimes build entire worlds beside it. Long after the lava cools, life slowly returns. Grass grows through black stone, forests cover ancient ash, and people come back once more, generation after generation, as if humanity has always understood something hidden beneath the fire. Destruction and creation are often born together, and maybe that is the true story of volcanoes, not mountains of death, but places where Earth destroys the old world, so a new one can begin. For thousands of years, volcanoes shaped the story of humanity. They terrified civilizations, destroyed cities, changed climates, and erased entire worlds beneath fire and ash. But they also gave humanity something equally powerful: life, fertile land, water, shelter, the possibility to begin again. And perhaps that is why humans never truly abandoned volcanic landscapes. Because beneath the destruction, there was always hope for a new world to grow. Even here in Vietnam, ancient volcanoes helped create hidden caves, fertile highlands, and landscapes that still remain mysterious today. Many people see Vietnam as a land of jungles, rivers, and coastlines. But beneath those forests and mountains, another forgotten world still exists. A world shaped by fire. And in our next episode, we travel deeper into one of Vietnam's most overlooked geological mysteries, a place few people outside Vietnam have ever heard of, yet one that reveals how extraordinary this land truly is. Vietnam's forgotten geological wonder. Because sometimes, the greatest wonders on Earth are not the ones the world remembers, but the ones it forgot.